Have you ever wondered why some people win the lottery, lose it all within years, and yet a few somehow keep multiplying their wealth? What's their secret? Luck? Fate? Or are they playing by a different set of laws entirely? Today, I'm going to reveal 9 prosperity laws that lottery winners use, consciously or unconsciously, to attract, sustain, and multiply wealth. And here's the truth. You don't need a ticket to win this lottery. You just need awareness. 1. The law of worthiness. Money flows to the level of your self-worth. Most people subconsciously feel unworthy of abundance. So even if they receive millions, their mind finds a way to push it away. Ever heard of lottery winners going broke? It's not bad luck. It's a mindset mismatch. They won money their mind wasn't ready to handle. Ask yourself, if tomorrow I woke up a millionaire, would I feel like one or fear losing it? Because prosperity doesn't start in your bank account. It starts in your belief system. Keycap 2, the law of expectation. We never get what we want. We get what we expect. A lottery winner who expected wealth before the win simply attracted it in physical form. But someone who deep down expects struggle will return to struggle, even after millions. Your outer life never outruns your inner expectations. You can't plant seeds of doubt and harvest abundance. Keycap 3, the law of energy. Money is not paper. It's energy, and energy must move. When you give value, through work, ideas, service, money responds. When you hoard or fear it, it resists. Ever notice how generous people seem to have more to give? That's no coincidence. Circulation is creation. The more you circulate energy, the more it circulates back. Keycap for the law of science. Lottery winners didn't just hope, they visualized. They imagined a life beyond limitation long before it happened. Your mind is a projector. Your reality is a screen. If you keep projecting fear, you'll live in lack. But when you project prosperity, you magnetize it. Close your eyes each day. See yourself living in abundance, not someday, but now. Keycap 5, the law of emotion. Money responds to emotion, not logic. If you feel desperation, you repel it. If you feel gratitude, you attract it. Think about it. Ever met someone who always complains about money? They never seem to have enough. But the ones who bless what they have always have more coming in. Emotion is the magnet of manifestation. Keycap 6, the law of focus. Whatever you focus on expands. Lottery winners who grow their wealth don't obsess over losing it. They focus on using it. They see opportunity, not limitation. If you constantly say, I can't afford it, your mind shuts down possibility. But if you ask, how can I afford it? Your brain gets to work creating solutions. Focus shapes fortune. Keycap 7, the law of gratitude. Gratitude turns chaos into order, lack into abundance. When you appreciate what you already have, you multiply it. Lottery winners who keep their wealth often have deep appreciation, not for the money, but for the journey. Every blessing you ignore becomes a lesson in disguise. Every blessing you acknowledge becomes a miracle in motion. Keycap 8, the law of responsibility. Here's the hard truth. Wealth tests character. The more you receive, the more responsible you must become. Winners who thrive don't ask, how'd I spend this? They ask, how do I steward this? Prosperity isn't about having more. It's about handling more wisely. The universe doesn't trust the careless with abundance. Keycap 9, the law of alignment. When your beliefs, emotion, and actions align, prosperity becomes effortless. It's not magic. It's mathematics of the soul. Lottery winners who sustain wealth are simply aligned. They believe they deserve it. They act like they can handle it. And they feel grateful as if they already have it. Alignment creates attraction. Attraction creates results. Here are some key points related to this. Self-worth determines net worth. Believe you deserve abundance before it arrives. Expectation shapes experience. You attract what you truly expect, not what you wish for. Money is energy. Circulate value, and it will return multiplied. Gratitude multiplies blessings. Appreciation expands prosperity. Responsibility sustains success. Handle what you have wisely. Alignment attracts abundance. When belief, emotion, and action unite, prosperity flows naturally. Imagine this. A man named David wins the lottery. $20 million overnight. Cameras flash. News channels call him the luckiest man alive. But fast forward just 3 years, and David's back at a small apartment, working part-time, wondering how it all slipped away. It wasn't the economy. It wasn't bad luck. It was his sense of worth. Deep down, he never believed he was the kind of person who could keep that kind of wealth. The money arrived, but his inner world didn't rise to meet it. His mind rejected what his heart didn't feel worthy of. You see, the law of worthiness isn't about arrogance or ego. It's about alignment. If your self-image is poor, even the richest opportunities will slip through your fingers like water. Think about it like a thermostat. No matter how high you turn up the financial temperature, your self-worth setting pulls it back down. You can earn more, receive more, even stumble into abundance. But if deep inside you feel unworthy, your subconscious will find a way to return you to what feels normal. That's why some people self-sabotage right after success. They don't believe they deserve it. It's why someone can earn a promotion and suddenly feel anxious, guilty, or undeserving, as if they're living someone else's life. The outer gain triggers an inner discomfort, and they unconsciously undo their progress to return to familiar ground. A woman once said, "You can't out-earn your self-image." And she was right. If you believe you're meant to struggle, you'll subconsciously create struggle. If you believe wealth corrupts, you'll push it away. But when you see yourself as worthy of ease, growth, and prosperity, you begin to act, think, and attract in alignment with that belief. Imagine a gardener planting seeds. He doesn't doubt whether the soil will grow flowers. He just tends to it, knowing it's capable. That's how worthiness works. It's the soil of abundance. There's a story about Jim Carrey before he became famous. He wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, dated it 5 years in the future, and kept it in his wallet. Every day he'd look at it, not with desperation, but with quiet certainty, as if he were already that successful man. Years later, when he landed Dumb and Dumber and got paid exactly $10 million, it wasn't magic. It was a universe responding to the frequency of a man who believed he was worthy of receiving. Now, contrast that with the countless lottery winners who lose everything. They won the money, but they didn't win the identity. You can't sustain what you haven't become. It's like pouring champagne into a cracked glass. No matter how much you pour, it won't hold. Worthiness repairs a glass. It prepares you to receive without fear, to hold without guilt, to grow without apology. It's the silent law behind every success story, and the unseen reason behind every collapse. Because in the end, the question isn't, can I have it? It's, do I believe I deserve it? There's a quiet truth most people overlook. Life doesn't give us what we want. It gives us what we expect. The difference seems small, but it changes everything. Wanting is wishing with hope, but expecting is knowing with certainty. Picture two people buying lottery tickets. Both dream of winning, but only one truly expects abundance to come in some form, whether through that ticket, a new idea, or a door yet unseen. The other clings to the hope because deep down, they expect nothing to change. That invisible belief makes all the difference. Expectation shapes energy, posture, and the choices we make when no one is watching. It's like an unspoken contract between you and the universe. What you expect becomes what you prepare for, and what you prepare for becomes what you receive. Think of Sarah, a single mother who once said, "I never win anything. My luck's terrible." Every month she buys her ticket, not with excitement, but with the weary sigh of someone already certain she'll lose. And she's right. She loses every time, because her expectation builds an invisible wall around her blessings. Her language, her tone, even her body radiate disbelief. On the other hand, there's someone like Michael. He doesn't just buy a ticket. He visualizes his life changing, not in a desperate way, but with quiet faith. He expects good news to find him in one form or another. He walks differently, talks differently, and takes small opportunities that align with that belief. Even if the lottery never hits, his expectation invites other forms of wealth, a business idea, a promotion, a new connection. His outer world begins to reflect his inner certainty. Dr. Wayne Dyer once said, "Don't get what you want, you get what you are." And what you are is defined by what you expect from yourself and from life. Expect failure, and you'll subconsciously look for proof that you were right. Expect success, and your mind starts scanning the world for confirmation. It's not about pretending. It's about creating a mental climate where success feels natural. The same way a seed grows only in certain soil, abundance grows only in the soil of expectation. You water with faith and starve it with doubt. It's why so many lottery winners lose everything. They expected the money to change their identity, but their identity never shifted. Deep inside, they still expected struggle, instability, or guilt around wealth. So life mirrored that script back to them. Expectation isn't a thought. It's a vibration. It's the difference between saying, I hope I'll make it, and I know I will. One comes from fear, the other from truth. Imagine walking into a room believing the world is against you. You'll notice every cold glance, every small rejection, but walk in expecting warmth and respect. And suddenly the same room feels inviting. The energy you carry writes the story before the words are spoken. Expectation is like gravity, unseen but always in effect. It pulls your reality into shape. People who thrive after sudden wealth don't see it as luck. They see it as natural. They expected prosperity long before it came. And maybe that's the real secret. To expect abundance even when your pockets are empty. To walk with faith even when there's no sign of rain. To live as though what you desire has already found its way to you. Because sooner or later, always does. Money is not paper. It's energy in motion. It flows, circulates, and responds to emotion and intention. When you understand that, your entire relationship with wealth changes. Think about a river. Clear, alive, constantly moving. When the river flows, it nourishes everything around it. But when it's dammed or hoarded, it grows stagnant, dark, lifeless. Money behaves the same way. People who keep it moving through generosity, investment, creation, always seem to attract more. Those who cling to it out of fear somehow find it slipping away. The energy of money needs to breathe, and when we suffocate it with worry or greed, it stops working for us. There's a story about an elderly shopkeeper named Yusuf who ran a small bakery in a quiet town. He wasn't rich by any standard, but he was always giving. Free bread to hungry children, discounts to struggling families, small loans to friends who promised to pay him back. People used to ask him, "Aren't you afraid of losing money?" And he would smile and say, "The bread that feeds others feeds me twice." Years passed, and while other shops closed, Yusuf's bakery grew. One day, someone asked him his secret, and he replied, "Money is like air. If you try to hold it, you lose your breath. But if you let it flow, you stay alive." Contrast that with someone like Adam, who won $500,000 in a local lottery. Overnight, he became obsessed with keeping it safe, checking his balance every hour, refusing to spend, giving nothing, sharing nothing. The more he guarded it, the more anxious he became. Opportunities appeared, but he turned them away out of fear. Slowly, his relationships faded, his joy disappeared, and eventually, poor choices drained his fortune anyway. What he didn't realize was that his fear became a magnet for loss. By hoarding energy, he stopped the flow. The world mirrors what we feel about giving and receiving. If you hold the belief that money leaves me, it will. But if you believe money circulates through me, then you become part of a living cycle of exchange. Think about how you feel when you tip a waiter generously or when you donate without expecting recognition. For a moment, your heart expands. That's a signal of abundance. You've moved energy. It's not about the amount. It's about the vibration. The universe loves circulation because it's a sign of trust. Bob Proctor once said, "The law of prosperity is not about getting. It's about giving." Every time you pay a bill, you're not losing money. You're circulating value. You're contributing to someone else's livelihood, and that energy eventually finds its way back. The mistake most people make is thinking of money as something to own rather than something to flow through. When you shift that mindset, anxiety transforms into freedom. You start noticing that the more you give, the more comes back, not always from the same source, but from somewhere unexpected. Money, like love, multiplies when shared. And maybe that's the quiet truth the universe has been whispering all along. That prosperity isn't about accumulation. It's about circulation. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a projector in a dark room. Whatever film runs through it becomes the world you see on the screen. Now imagine that projector is your mind and the screen is your life. Every image you hold inside, every vision, every belief, every thought is being projected outward into your reality. That's the law of vision. Lottery winners who stay rich don't just stumble into fortune. Long before they hold a ticket, they've already seen themselves living in abundance. Their imagination built the path before their feet ever touched it. The world doesn't reward blind chance as much as it responds to clear vision. You can't walk into a future you've never pictured. There's a story about a man named Leo who worked as a janitor in a small company. Every day during lunch, he'd sit outside under a tree with a small notebook, sketching out ideas for his dream business, a cleaning company with his name on every truck. His co-workers laughed, called him the dreamer, but Leo didn't mind. He could see it so clearly it already felt real. He'd visualize the phone ringing with orders, the uniforms neatly pressed, the satisfaction on his clients' faces. That image guided every small decision. Saving a few extra dollars, learning business basics, saying yes to small side jobs. 5 years later, Leo's vans were parked outside the very building where he once mopped floors. He said, "I just kept seeing it until I walked right into it." There was a man named Robert who once said, "All I see are obstacles." And he was right, because that's all he looked for. Every opportunity, every change appeared as a threat. When he lost his job, he spent weeks complaining about how unfair life was, how everything was falling apart. But in that same company, another employee named Julia also got laid off. Instead of focusing on the loss, she asked herself, what can this make possible? That single question shifted her direction. She used the time to start a small online store selling handmade jewelry, something she dreamed of for years. Within a year, her business was thriving. The difference between them wasn't intelligence, timing, or talent. It was focus. One stared at the closed door until his eyes filled with tears. The other noticed a light coming from a new one. Focus is like sunlight through a magnifying glass. Diffuse it, and it warms nothing. Concentrate it, and it burns through steel. The universe doesn't respond to confusion. It responds to clarity. When your attention is scattered across fears, doubts, and distractions, your energy becomes diluted. But when you hold a clear image of what you want, wealth, health, peace, or love, your thoughts, actions, and circumstances align like magnets. That's how visionaries, entrepreneurs, and creators seem to move mountains. They don't have superpowers. They simply know where to look. Think of someone who says, "I can't afford it." That statement shuts the mind. It ends all creativity. But someone who asks, "How can I afford it?" activates possibility. The brain begins searching for answers because focus directs thought, and thought directs destiny. Tony Robbins once said, "Where focus goes, energy flows." Every successful person lives by that truth. They focus on what they can control, not what they can't. They see progress instead of problems, lessons instead of losses. Imagine walking through a garden. If you only look at the weeds, the flowers disappear from sight. But if you look at the flowers, you start noticing more of them, even between cracks. The garden didn't change, your focus did. That's how life works. You're always standing in a field that contains both abundance and lack, beauty and pain. The question is, which side will you water with your attention? Because wherever you direct your gaze, your future begins to grow. And when you train your mind to focus on opportunity, gratitude, and growth, life cannot help but bloom in the direction of your vision. Here we stand, at the edge of possibility. You've heard the laws, you felt their truth, and deep down, something in you knows this isn't coincidence. You were meant to hear this today, because prosperity doesn't choose people. People choose prosperity. Every thought you think, every belief you hold, every emotion you feed is shaping the world you'll wake up to tomorrow. You don't need a lottery ticket. You don't need luck. You need alignment. Alignment with worthiness. Alignment with expectation. Alignment with energy, vision, emotion, focus, and gratitude. You are not waiting for abundance. Abundance is waiting for you. It's waiting for you to believe, to act, to expect, to circulate, to see, to feel, to focus, and to receive. Every law you've heard today is alive right now, surrounding you, whispering, "Choose me." The moment you start living by these laws, life begins to rearrange itself in your favor. Doors appear where walls once stood. Light breaks through where you saw only shadow. So stop saying someday. Stop saying when I get the chance. The chance is now. The choice is now. The change is now. You don't manifest prosperity by wishing for it. You manifest it by becoming it. Be the energy you want to attract. Be the gratitude you want to feel. Be the abundance you were born to live. Because the truth is, the real lottery was never in the numbers. It's in your mindset. Your support means everything. If this resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe. And remember this, and you've already won the moment you decide you deserve more. Thank you for being here. See you in the next one.